No, if you have evidence, then sure, of course you can.
But then you said that it's not, the proof is not sunnah.
That was what I coupled that.
Okay, so Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد معدن الجود والكرم وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. So we are starting on Hadith Pak lecture once again, and this time we will be reading Nawawi Shareef. Arba'een Nawawi, the 40 Ahadeeth of Nawawi Shareef. I hope the Hadith you have read already, you remember some of these. You are recommended to memorize these Hadith Pak, all 40 of them, and by the end inshallah we'll go over them and test you, and we will also test you as we go along. So can someone please remind me of the Hadith Paks we learned last lesson? Everyone should be able to recall one Hadith at least, from the girls and the boys.
Love for your brothers, but you love for yourself.
Good, mashallah. So that was one Hadith that we learned last time. So one doesn't become a perfect believer unless they love and desire the same for their brothers that they do for themselves. Good, mashallah. Ali?
The beauty of one's religion is that he
Leaves what is unnecessary, what doesn't concern him. Good, mashallah. That means you have been revising. Girls?
Be nice to everyone, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, and the implication of this is that the kafir will want to follow you then.
So what's the Hadith Pak that led to this?
None of you are truly believers.
Unless
his religion until he loves his brother what he loves.
good, mashallah. This is Yahya, Rakeen. Need to have your head covered because you're learning Hadith Pak. Make sure you pay respect. Okay? No hats?
Make use of your videos, fellas.
You can use your hood here, just like him. Have you got a hat? You can share with him. Oh, there you go, mashallah. It's fine, it's fine. Next time, bring your hat because you come to learn Islam. You must have respect for the knowledge, sacred knowledge of the deen. So, we will move on inshallah. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And today's Hadith Pak, that's on the screens for you. Hadith number 14 it is. On the screen, it's Hadith number 14 for you. it says that, which has been narrated by Hazrat Abi Hamza, Ans bin Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was Khadim of Aqa alayhi salatu wasalam, the personal servant. So he used to serve Aqa alayhi salatu wasalam throughout his life, for more than 20 years. So he says that Aqa alayhi salatu wasalam said, actually sorry, that was the last hadith about 13, we already done this last time. Today we're doing the hadith narrated by Hazrat Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He narrates, Aqa alayhi salatu wasalam said, لا يحل دم امرئ مسلم إلا بإحدى ثلاث, that the blood of a Muslim cannot be halal except in 3 situations. So it isn't halal to kill a Muslim unless these 3 situations are found. One of that, الثيب الزاني, that a person who commits adultery while being married, الثيب الزاني, this person can be killed in Islam despite being Muslim. Despite being married to a woman, he actually committed adultery. So he is liable to be killed. Another one nafsu bin nafs, that if he killed another believer, another Muslim, then as a qisas, as a revenge, he will be killed as well. That makes it allowed, that makes him liable to be given the death punishment. So the third situation when the killing of a Muslim is lawful is وَالتَّارِكُ دِينِهِ الْمُفَارِقُ لِلْجَمَاعَةِ, that Muslim, once he leaves the ambit of Islam, becomes na'udzu billah murtad, he reverts from the religion, and na'udzu billah min haza, and he becomes, he instead of believing in his religion, believes in other false religions like religions other than Islam, then he is liable to be killed. So one who leaves the Jama'at is the majority of the believers. So when he leaves the majority of the believers and goes to a different sect, accepts a different set of beliefs than what Islam preaches, then he is liable to be killed. So 3 types of people who were Muslims, but they committed certain activities. Either they committed adultery, or they killed another Muslim, or they actually left the ambit of Islam and went to another religion. They can be killed. The killing of them is lawful. They can be liable to death punishment. So, can someone repeat that to me?
The hadith mentioned that Abu Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that لا يحل
Damu imrin.
Yani it is not permissible for the blood of a believer, of a Muslim, Muslimin, إلا except بإحدى ثلاث except for three يعني the person who commits adultery or somebody who kills somebody else, or the third one was that somebody who goes far from the jama'ah. The jama'ah refers to leaving Islam. The one who leaves the boundaries of Islam becomes murtad.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, that's right. So that was hadith number 14. Can someone else repeat that? Yahya or Makeen as well? Let's go over what I just said. Yeah, you do. Zafar.
Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said.
Who?
Ibn Mas'ud
Good.
radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it is not permissible
Oh.
to spill the blood of meaning kill a Muslim except on three occasions. When a married person
Yeah.
commits adultery
Yeah.
and someone kills another Muslim, meaning for life, and the one who strays away from his religion.
Good. So he leaves the ambit of Islam, basically accepts another set of beliefs, like becomes a Jew or Christian, or maybe a strayed sect, for example, Qadianis. They are, they also left the ambit of Islam. So if someone starts believing their beliefs, then he is liable to be killed. We believe that.
So for clarity, what Qadianis?
Qadianis are people who believed that there could be another prophet. Especially they believed in Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, who claimed to be a prophet after the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. So we believe that he was the last prophet, the Khatmin Muba. We believe that's a major belief, and as we've learnt in Malabudda Min, that he was the final prophet. So the prophethood ceased with his Ba'isat, with he coming down. So no one can be a prophet after that. So one who claims that is a kafir. Anyone believing in him or having any doubt about his Qurbuba is also a kafir. Yes.
This Mirza, what's his name?
Ghulam. Mirza Ghulam Qadiani.
If he claimed he was a prophet, what miracle did he bring?
There are, he didn't bring any miracle. I'm not saying that, but he
Or what did
claimed.
he claim? Yeah.
On what basis did he claim? British pounds.
Yeah. Originally, he used to be a scholar who would, debate with the Christians for the Islam. So people, appreciated him for doing this.
He attracted-
So then so he attracted the public, and that fame that he brought, he actually screwed him. So he then first claimed to be Mahdi, Nauzubillah. First he became a scholar, preacher, then he claimed to be,
Claimed to be who?
Mahdi.
So he was Mahdi.
No, he wasn't. He
Said
claimed,
he was Mahdi.
he said he was.
He's nuts.
Yeah. So
But
he
then
claimed to be Mahdi first.
Then why
Then
did people believe him when he said that
Why
he?
do you
Because he attracted people towards Islam.
originally he was a preacher, so he used to debate with the disbelievers, the Christians and the Jews, and support the cause of Islam. So people thought he is good, he is supporting Islam. So a lot of people gathered around him. Then he claimed to be Mahdi after that.
The general public believed him.
Yeah. Even the scholars, they appreciated him, especially Pir Meher Ali Shah Sahib. So he first wrote a letter to him, as it mentioned in Meher Munir, that you are doing good job, so keep doing it. But then he started claiming that he was Mahdi. Then he reminded him that this is wrong. The original job you're doing, that was fine, so keep doing that. Don't become Mahdi. But then he continued on the same track. And eventually he became, Nauzubillah, he claimed to be a prophet.
When
So-
was this person? How long ago was he?
It was at the times of the Pir Meher Ali Shah Sahib.
So that's
Maybe
what,
around
years?
late 1800s century.
1800s. So only about 100 years ago. it was.
More than that, about 100 years there. About
100 years roughly. This is
Yeah.
that rise.
yeah.
And today people are they still Qadiani?
Those who believe in him, yes, they are still Qadiani. those who believe in him.
How did we come to agree?
But majority of those who believe in him, they do not have a strong belief. They are just, driven by the, financial
How did globalization start?
advantages that they receive.
Obviously, they have to learn how it was to plant them. So
What are you saying?
Give me a history lesson in the back.
Actually, do you want to stream this as well? Okay.
In Green Street, there's a Qadiani mosque, meaning temple, not mosque. Is it?
Okay.
Green Street apparently.
Maybe I didn't
It's a
see.
gay mosque.
It's not Muslim, is it?
Gay temple, innit?
what's that guy's name?
Mirza Ghulam Qadiani.
Qadiani.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
So there was
That's
a truth
it.
that he had such a, his death was so cursed that he died in the toilet.
He did, yeah, he did.
It's true, honestly.
True, yeah, true. He's
And
right.
It's found that his head was in his own toilet. Ma'adallah.
Yeah. He died this shameful death, I know.
But I've also heard as well that he was so cursed because of what he claimed, that he used to have a certain disease whereby blood would flow from his front passage. Is that true?
I didn't hear that, but could be true. I didn't hear that. Could anything like that could be true, because he was certainly
That's how cursed he was. Wallahi.
cursed person and was a false. So
People still believe him today. That's the funniest thing.
How?
Not, isn't it?
I was saying that people, those who believe in him, they are driven by not their belief. They're driven by other worldly gains. So they gain money maybe sometimes. So they express the belief in them.
So I've heard people often that have problems with their visas and stuff. They say to them,
They do,
"Guys,
yeah,
you
indeed.
sign your iman off and we'll do what you want."
Nauzubillah, they do so, yeah. So they often declare them to be Qadianis and they get the visa easily. Or they say that we are Qadianis, so if you go back, we will be, subjected to maybe troubles back home. So then they get.
Because in Islamic countries, they're opposed strictly, aren't they?
We used to study this, and when we used to study immigration law in my final year, I used to come across so many cases where these Ahmadis would claim asylum on the basis of being Qadiani. So a lot of Muslims actually claim them to be
Sure.
Qadianis, na'uzubillah, just for the sake of asylum. They do so.
So what does that mean? That if
They become kafir, na'uzubillah,
so
straight
if they're
away.
right, they become kafir.
Indeed, straight away. Once they write and claim to be
But
Qadianis,
say, for example, they say, no, in our heart, we don't believe to be meaning Qadiani. We just write if we get the visa.
well, that's weakness of the
See
iman.
over here?
Why would you?
So that means when they sign it, they lost their iman.
Certainly, because that's weakness of the iman that makes them do
A worldly
claim
game,
first.
they sign the iman away.
Indeed.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah, but where do you have no other choice?
And so say if they don't have another choice, those people.
in what sense would that be?
How do you mean they have no choice?
Well, like the refugees or something.
If they're refugees, let's say for instance.
And then you can not trust.
No, why would they be forced to become Qadiani or any other non-disbeliever?
What if they
It's
can't
happening
go
now,
somewhere?
for example. It's happening now
Yeah.
when Trump actually said that Christians will be given priority. So I heard that people have become Christians now, American, Nauzubillah, just to get the safety actually.
But that's the weakness of the iman, isn't it?
Certainly.
There's no greater bounty than iman.
Indeed, so
There's no
iman
belief for any
iman is the
belief
best protection that you have.
which is worthy
Yeah.
of swapping for your iman.
Indeed. So if you believe in the life hereafter, then this world becomes doesn't have any weight in the eyes.
And another hadith you read yesterday about the previous in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam time, how that Sahabi, he was
Yeah,
told him not-
indeed,
he was
indeed.
told to give iman away. And he was
So
told
there's
to-
discussion going on in the
The Sahabi on this first
other part of the room. Sorry?
Actually, hadith you read yesterday.
Yeah, there was hadith that we read yesterday in Riyadus Salihin that people before you, for the sake of their iman, they were cut down into halves.
It's very
Yeah.
And
The flesh was actually
pulled from their body.
steel combs.
with the steel combs, and they still remained firm in the beliefs. believe. So it will be so shameful that someone, just for the sake of this dunya, for things like tiny things like visa, they leave their religion, ambit of Islam, and claim to be Qadiani, nauzubillah. So someone who leaves Jama'ah and becomes a nauzubillah Tariquddin, he is liable to be killed. But remember, this killing is only for the Qadi of Islam to do, and average person cannot stand up and kill him.
Qadi?
Qadi is the Qazi, the judge.
I said the judge of Islam.
Yeah,
I
the
think
judge of
people don't
Islam.
know what that word to me.
Yeah, the Qadi
Knew you were
who actually
the Islamic judge.
upholds the Islamic rulings. Yeah, he's the Qadi.
Islamic judge.
And the Qadi can only be the one who is appointed by the Sultan of the time, the government. So he can only. So one person cannot become a Qazi as the Taliban may become. People in Sawat or.
So it's not something that we can take into our own hands.
Yeah, we can't take it on. So only the government of the time, Islamic government, they will appoint a Qazi, and that Qazi will then uphold the Islamic judgments, rulings. One cannot become a Qazi on their own, one cannot take the law into the hands and cannot implement that just because the religion is saying that. So I hope that's clear now. So next Hadith Pak we are learning today is Hadith number 15. And
It's you know the way, for example, in America,
yes,
they have the electric chair and the people punish them. Like, for example,
Yeah, I heard that,
they
yeah.
have a death penalty.
yeah.
For example, they either give. Can you sit down, please? Take a seat. Sit down. Sit down. What are you doing? Yes, so sorry, I was saying, for example, in America, they have the death penalty where they electrocute somebody to death, or they give them an injection, or they poison them, and that's appointed by the government, and then that law body will decide if he's worthy of punishment. Then he's punished. Is it similar, for example, with this as well? Like an Islamic state, they have a government, and then that government decides if he's worthy of punishment, and then the Qazi, the judge, like you said, he declares that he is to be punished, and then their system will arrange for that to be carried out, the execution.
Yeah,
Same process.
same way.
Okay.
But we believe,
So those people who assume that this is extreme in this day and age, they should look at the American system.
indeed,
They're
you're
not
right,
putting
you're right.
that much effort with this.
Yeah, some people often they claim that penalty should be, taken away and should not be acted upon.
Sorry, but wasn't-
But they forget that some of the Western countries, they still have death punishment, capital punishment in their laws. So why is it that when they talk about Islamic death punishment, they start raising objections?
When we
They
speak
must
about
also look at their own.
When they do it, it's justice, and when we do it, it's
When we
terrorism.
do it, it becomes, extremism, terrorism. Yeah. So strange dual standards, double standards. Anyway, let's move on to next Hadith Pak, which is 15, and Hadith number 15 narrated by Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who says that Aqa alayhi salatu wasalam said that man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut. Some piece of advice for every believer, especially for the ladies, without any discrimination, that he who believes in Almighty Allah and the Day of Judgment shall speak good or shall keep silent. فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Either say what is good or keep silent. وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. And one who believes in Almighty Allah and the Day of Judgment must honor the neighbor. فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. Yukrim also can mean be generous to them, yes. And the third part it says man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyukrim dayfa, that he who believes in Almighty Allah and the Day of Judgment must also be generous to the guests.
Yukrim. What's the guy there?
Yukrim is majhul from ma'roof, amr ma'roof,
Ma'ruf.
ghaib,
Right.
فليكرم إفعال يا إكرام أكرم يكرم إكراما هو مكرم so فليكرم أكرم لتكرم فليكرم ضيفه. So 3 pieces of advice for the general believers, and so it is very important to be either say the truth, as we mentioned earlier as well. I think that when we were talking about the Aqidah lesson, we said that every kalam that we say, and its effect is also from the Almighty Allah, as you know that now. Everything is controlled by Almighty Allah. Then we have a choice of what we say. We must have the right intention before we do the act, and so the right intention we can have is that either if that thing that we're going to say or the thing that we're going to do is that beneficial for us and the general public or not. If not, then we shall leave it. That's the meaning of the hadith. If you have a belief in Almighty Allah and the Day of Judgment, because you know that Almighty Allah is watching you and He's hearing you, and that on the Day of Judgment everything that you said will be presented to you again, and you'll be asked about it and questioned about it and the reason why you said it, then you must think about what you're going to say and either say good or keep quiet. So Imam Shafi'i says that this means that when you are going to say something, then pause for a moment and think whether this thing has got any good attached to it or not.
Any benefit?
Any benefit, yeah. If there is no harm in that, then go ahead and say that. But if there's the slightest of the doubt of the harm, that you may get a harm, or even if it is evident that this will be harmful, then certainly don't say it. Even if there's a doubt about this being harmful, then steer away from that. So this can actually make us avoid a lot of the troubles in the life. So majority of the troubles, as ulama have said earlier in other books actually, that the zuban, the tongue actually is the reason for all the evil in this dunya. So if people only say the right things and avoid the wrong, then a lot of the evil can be, avoided. And Abu Muhammad ibn Abi Zayd, who was Imam of Maliki fiqh in his time, a great scholar, he said he made a great analogy from the Ahadeeth of Islam, saying that all the adab, the manners, the good manners, all the good manners can be confined and can be understood from the 4 Ahadith of Islam.
هذا إمام محمد الشيخين.
No, he is Maliki, Imam al-Maliki. He used to be living in possibly in Europe. Imam Abu Muhammad bin Abi Zayd, he's different. He said that all the good manners, Jami' adabul khair, they can be summarized in the 4 hadith part, or could be understood from the 4 ahadith of Islam. First is this one, that man kana billahi wal yawmil akhir falyakul khairan aw liyasmut. He who believes in the Almighty Allah and the Day of Judgment, must say the khair, the good, or keep quiet. That's one good manner. So if you have this in your life, then you will get many good virtues in the life. Secondly, the second hadith that also, gives you a lot of good manners is that which we learnt already. Min husn Islam mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'nihi. From the beauty of Islam is what? Leaving what does not concern him. So this also gives you a lot of good manners. A lot of good manners basically are taken from this hadith part, because this then makes you choose only the right things, avoid the unnecessary things, then also makes you schedule your day accordingly. So you choose what is important for you, what's not. Leave the unimportant things, unnecessary things, do only right things. Similarly, you choose what's right for you to say and leave what's harmful. So this actually puts things in order for you. And the third thing that gives you great guidance, third hadith pak, gives you some good manners as well, is a very short piece of advice of Aqa alayhi salam, who requested for some. So Aqa alayhi salam gave this nasiha to someone who requested that, Ya Rasulullah, give me some piece of advice. He was going away, he was in a hurry, so that I'm getting late. So anything that you give me, advise me to do. So can you be quick? So he requested this very quickly. He was in a hurry. So very short, one-worded advice for me. So Aqa told him, La taghdab, don't become angry. That one piece of advice. Very short, but still very jami', in a sense that it covers a lot of the aspects that what comes across in the life. So La taghdab, and that was the third hadith about giving you a bunch of good manners in your life. The fourth hadith about ghadab, from the ghadab here. The fourth is, like, as we learnt earlier, one doesn't become a proper believer unless they desire for their brothers just as they would desire for themselves. But remember, this samt that we're talking about, the quietness, keeping quiet when you do not need to speak, this should only be exercised when doing so is appropriate. So often keeping quiet also becomes a sin. So when you need to say something to support the haqq, the right cause, and you then stay quiet, then that becomes a sin for you. When you see that staying quiet actually basically undermines the cause of Islam, and you still remain quiet, then that silence is actually a guna and a sin actually. So this is only quietness in this hadith pak only means staying quiet when it is harmful for one to speak. So فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا, if it is good for you, then speak, or if it's harmful, then remain quiet. And as we learnt earlier, that min husn Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'nihi. And this is also related to that from the beauty of Islam for a Muslim, beauty of the deen of a Muslim is leaving what does not concern him. So when he is about to speak, he shall think whether this thing is really important for me or not. Do I really need to say it? If yes, then he should speak. Otherwise, he should leave that, because this is also mentioned in another hadith pak. Some said that min fiqhi rajuli qillatu kalami, that from the understanding of a Muslim, of a man, from the wisdom of a man is قلة كلام, is a lack of speech. قلة كلام فيما لا يعنيه, in things that do not concern him. And he also mentioned another hadith pak, very beautiful hadith. Oh, is it fine now? Good. Hadith pak mentions that Aqal said that al-afiyatu fi ashrati ajza'in, that afiyah is in 10 things, 10 parts.
Is the shara of number 15?
Uh,
Is the shara of 15 or next hadith?
Still on the same.
Oh.
Still talking about the samt, I mean keeping quiet.
No.
So al-afiyah fi ashrati ajza'in, that the afiyah, the safety, is divided into 10 parts, and 9 of them are in the quietness. So tis'atu minha fi samt. So 9 parts of safety are in the quietness. So if you remain quiet, you will remain safe from a lot of things. Illa an dhikrillah, except that you're doing zikr of Almighty Allah. So salamti and peace and safety is all found in the quietness. So that's why it's one of the great hadith pak. So one who believes in the Day of Judgment and also Almighty Allah, and he believes that he will be presented before Allah one day for the judgment, he must either say good only or remain quiet. So there are so many good things that can be said about keeping quiet, but we'll keep it short. So this hadith pak is a very jami hadith, highlighting that it's very important to remain quiet, to avoid much of the bad and evil in the life. Secondly, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. He who believes in Almighty Allah and the Day of Judgment must be kareem. He must honor and also be generous to the neighbor. So this highlights the importance of being good to your neighbors, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, believers or non-believers. You still need to consider and be mindful of their rights. So they must not be harmed by your presence next to them. So be always considerate of their rights and be always be generous to them. So whatever. So early people they used to have this trait that they would always share whatever they would cook with the next door neighbors. So فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ means that he must also be generous to the neighbors. So Hadith Pak says that مَا زَالَ جِبْرِيلُ يُوصِنِي بِالْجَارِ حَتَّى ظَنَنْتُ أَنَّهُ سَيُوَرِّثُ. That Jibreel came to me and he on many occasions he kept advising me about my neighbor and his rights, so much that I had a doubt that he may make him an inheritor after my departure. So this is how important the right of neighbor is. Hatta sayuwarisu. And Hadith Pak says that jar. So this is highlighting that jar has got some special consideration. So he must be, you must pay attention to their rights and must not harm them, and must do ikram. Ikram means must be generous. We have a question.
Yeah. You know, you refer to neighbor, do we just refer to the person next door? Do you refer to the
Good question, good question. So jar, the person next door, I mean, those who are closest, they have right, but as you go along, the rights are relieved slowly. So the closest person will have the higher, stake. The next one slightly lesser, but up to 40 houses on the right, on the left, on the back, at the front, they are all
In this country, you don't even know who the third person down is.
certainly. So I understand that. So, but see, we used to have this trait that if you went to Pakistan often, you would know that people, they knew everyone around them, and they would always send everything that they could. They would send around in the houses, and they would send back as well. So this would increase the love between them. They knew about. In today's life, you don't know the next door person. They die often in the house, and they keep rotting inside, and no one knows.
There's been cases like that on the news.
Yeah, there are.
Second, in this day and age, like obviously in the Arab times, as was mentioned as well in the first hadith, when they said Jibreel al-Islam, it was strange. They didn't recognize him. They only didn't recognize him because they knew everyone else. Everyone knew everybody in the area.
Yeah, we learned the hadith. Yeah.
Yeah, in the first hadith that we covered, and you mentioned that everyone knew everyone. And then when they came, it was strange for them because they would know everyone in the area.
Yeah.
And when they saw Jibreel, then no one knew him, so it was strange for them.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, like even in the Arab culture, in Pakistan, for instance, like we said, you know of people around locally. But over here, does that mean we're exempt from this hadith in one sense, or?
No, we
And
can't.
also,
can't.
for example, you have non-believers as well. How do we go about that?
So no, I mean neighbor, whether it's a believer or not believer, you still have to pay attention. You still have to be considering their rights.
Their rights.
So you must not harm them, whether they're believer or not non-believer. Because Aqal Sassam himself had Jews then as their neighbors, so he still was very good to them and considerate of the rights. He asked the question whether it's the next door neighbor only or the people who are further away. So those who are next door, they have a higher element of right, and whereas the ones further away, their rights are lesser, but still you need to still be considerate of that.
To what degree are we expected
To pay attention.
yeah,
In this country, you mean?
in this meaning in this environment that way, where you have non-believers and everything? To what degree are we expected to?
I mean, the culture in here is also, quite a bit like they do not like being interrupted. Actually, for example, if you send too many gifts to your neighbors, if they're non-believers, I don't think they will appreciate this. In this country, they won't.
Think
So,
about the police reports.
so they may actually,
Harassment.
yeah, possibly they could do.
Harassing us with gifts.
So it's better to not to harm them. I mean, not to make so much noise late night.
Just have a good understanding with them.
The understanding, yeah. When you see them outside, just to say hello, hi, just to remain, friendly, and also make sure that they keep recognizing your face. And also, just to give them a good impression of the Islam, it's important that you be nice to them if
Show
they're
them good
disbelieving. Yeah, show the good character. But remember, if the jar is a Muslim, then his rights are tripled actually, not even doubled, because he's a Muslim. As a Muslim, he has a right on you, and then he has a right as a someone who is a neighbor, so he has two rights. And right, if he's also relative, related, then that's a third right. But if he's a relative, it's non-relative, not related, just I will come to you, non-related, and also a neighbor, and a Muslim, then he has two rights on you. One, the right of a Muslim, then the right of a neighbor. But if he has neither a relative, neither a Muslim, then he still has a right. That is the right of a neighbor. So you still need to pay attention to that. But if he is a Muslim and a neighbor, then the rights are increased accordingly. Yes, the question?
Let's say, Jane said that if a neighbor's a Muslim,
Mm.
the
The rights are increased, yeah.
let's say there's someone like a Debandi or something.
Depending. Depends if they are, I mean the Bandis, you can.
What is Dibandi? Some people ask him.
Dibandi explain that. The Bandis, if they believed that the ulama of Deoband, whatever they wrote in the books, if they still believe in that, and they still, think that that's right, then we consider them to be kuffar, because that was clear disrespect of Aqā alayhi salam. And no Muslim can have the heart to say that.
So they disrespect the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
The way they did so in the books written by the ulama of Deoband, Ashraf Ali Thanvi and the other guy, Gangohi and Nanotvi, they wrote in Brahine Qatiya and Fatawa Rashidiya and other Tamheed al-Iman, he wrote so. So those after becoming aware of that, those Deobandis after becoming aware of that, still believe, still respect them, and still say that they were right in saying that, then certainly they are testifying the kufr, na'udhu. So they also become, so we are required to detach ourselves from such Deobandis.
Sorry, I know it's not on the topic, but is there...
He asked a question, so yeah.
Could you give us meaning, saying what I'm about to ask? Could you give us like an example or two so we can understand the meaning?
Example
why
of?
we classify them as non-believers?
Because in their books they often said so. They have been so uncareful about Aqā alayhi salam. They said things which clearly have been disrespect, and which ulama of Haramain Sharifain, they gave a fatwa that everyone who said or wrote or testified such statements or thought these to be allowed and legal, he was a kafir, na'uzubillah. So they all signed on this fatwa
In Makkah and Medina.
in Makkah and Medina, yes, that such a person who wrote this book, they are all kuffar. And this is published in the book named as, what was the name of the book written by, it was a fatwa. So Ala Hazrat actually he got this fatwa from the ulama of Haramain. Hussamul Haramain was the name of the book. It could be easily found on the internet, especially on the Dawat Islam website. You can go online and check that. But that clarifies a lot of issues related to the people who call the Deobandis kuffar. So we said not all Deobandis are kafir. Those who, after realizing that these were the beliefs of the elders of Deoband, those who started the sect originally, after realizing that, those who still believe in them, still respect them, still consider themselves Muslims, they are wrong, and they will be. We must detach ourselves. But even if they are relatives, he asked a question about neighbors. Even if they are relatives, we are still required to, detach ourselves and just simply finish our ties with them, boycott them socially, and so this will also become a deterrent for them. So they will think about this stance, and maybe that may make them revert. Come back to the ambit of Islam again. That was a good question, by the way.
You know when we say that we should have honor your neighbors, and this hadith mentioned the neighbors as well. In a person's mind, often it comes up that we should, in a sense that Meaning, when you say they have their rights, what does their rights include? Does it mean friendly, indulging with them, going to their house, staying with them? If they're kuffar, for instance, non-believers, for instance, how is it? Meaning, what do you mean by their rights?
Rights are mentioned in hadith. فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. Be generous to them. That's all the right.
But it doesn't mean going indulging with them, sitting with them, partying with them,
No. So
coming of them,
doesn't mean. I mean,
applying their ways, meaning following their.
yeah, not following their ways or compromising your own religion for them. That's not allowed. Just because you want to keep them happy. So keeping them happy is not the purpose. It's just to, for the sake of Almighty Allah, being nice and being generous to them. So whatever you have, also share that with them as well. So that's the meaning of being generous. So whatever you eat yourself, make sure you also share that with your neighbor, whether he's a Muslim or non-Muslim. Doesn't mean compromising your own religion for the sake of the happiness.
It doesn't give you an open free ticket to do it, meaning.
Yeah. So it
There's no
doesn't.
barriers there.
Indeed. It doesn't mean that when the Christmas comes, you should also go and join them in the party.
I think the cinema with them. Barakallah.
So yeah, we will finish this class here now, inshallah. So actually, no, just the last thing. One who also who believes in the day of judgment, Almighty Allah must also be generous to the guests. So respecting your guests and being generous to them, and being happy when the guest comes over, and being generous and being honoring them. That's also from the good manners of Islam, and thus also part of the belief of a Muslim. So ziyafa, being showing hospitality, being generous to the guest, is from the manners of Islam and from the etiquettes shown by the prophets and the Salihin, the pious people throughout the history of Islam. So being generous to the guest is also from the manners of Islam. So someone repeat that to me, and then we will go on a break for the namaz asr. Inshallah, it's only 15 minutes break. Make sure, be punctual, and don't go out. You just need to read namaz here. Anyone from the girls' side? What was the hadith about? Quickly, the three things that you learned in the hadith about, then we will go.
Whoever believes in Allah on the last day, like, he will speak good of his family.
Listen, guys, listen.
And then
Yeah.
whoever believes in Allah on the last day, he honor his neighbors, be generous, because the word that is used could be used for evil.
Yeah.
And him who believes in Allah, honor his guests, so that means to be like happy when they come.
Good.
And then the good manners are in 4 hadiths. The first one is hadith, this one. The hadith second is part of the perfection of someone's Islam is leaving his.
It's okay. Don't go deep explanation.
Yeah.
That's fine. So whatever is on the board, let's explain that. Second is, you mentioned this already. To also respect the guests. So this means that we are going to end this lesson here now. So hopefully you will memorize this hadith back, and next time you will recall. Yes.
I don't start till 10 past 3.
Is it not?
10 past 3.
Still got an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, sorry. In that case, we will move on to our other class, which is the fiqh. Starts at 3 o'clock, did you say?
10 past 3, 10.
All right. Yeah, okay, yeah. Chalo. Thanks for reminding. In that case, we move on to our lesson of Nawawi Shareef, inshallah. So Nawawi, what will we be doing next, inshallah?